If you're dealing with a family breakdown, family conflict that doesn't seem to end, or things have gone completely off the rails now to the point that you become an estranged family, you're likely asking yourself two very specific questions. What just happened? And what do I do now? This kind of stuff doesn't just happen, and these are not just difficult family relationships. Those kind of questions, those issues, they are all deeply rooted in relationship trauma. Maybe you knew that was there, or maybe you didn't, but the impact of it is still the same. The ground has moved. Those old relationships have fizzled, and the ways of living, thinking, doing, and being are now gone. I'm Diana. I help women untangle difficult family dynamics, heal relationship trauma, and rebuild a life that is rooted in peace instead of pain. I do that by helping them understand and move through generational trauma and other problematic family issues by giving them a clear framework for what comes next. We're not going back to the trauma and the drama. Rather, we're going to look forward to the mechanics of why those family relationships broke and why the struggles are there. And we're also going to look at the specific steps you need to take to re-find your center again. That's actually how we answer those two really big questions I talked about just a minute ago. What just happened, and what do I do now? Chances are great that you've already spent a lot of years tolerating family conflict. Maybe it was brushed off as normal, or it's been downplayed, and you've been trying to manage what you may have thought were just difficult personalities in order to keep the peace. But the system has now reached a breaking point. Maybe you're now an estranged parent. You're trying to understand where to step and where not to step with your estranged adult children. Or maybe you've realized that those hard family interactions with your own parents, siblings, or your spouse are actually toxic relationships that aren't going to fix themselves. To understand what to do about all this stuff, you first have to understand why the old strategies stopped working. In most dysfunctional family systems, there's actually a silent requirement for one person in the family to be the fall guy, the scapegoat, or the emotional sponge. Whether they want to do it or not, it's their job to carry all the things and to ultimately hold responsibility for them, even if they weren't even involved. There's a reason for this. The system as a whole can't handle problems. They can't handle conflict or negative emotions. They don't know what to do with them. And so they push them off onto the person who they subconsciously believe and have assigned to deal with all of them so they don't have to. There's a pretty good chance, if you're anything like me, you filled that role for a very long time, even without knowing it. But family dynamics are like a seesaw. When things are balanced and everybody's doing what they are supposed to do, things are great. But when one person decides to change the game, to shift the weight, to stop playing by those old rules, it changes the weight and things start to tilt. When you started your emotional healing journey, or maybe you started putting boundaries in place, the system simply couldn't compensate. It didn't break because you failed. It broke because it was being held together by emotional duct tape. But the price was your exhaustion, and probably your physical and mental health too. When you finally started to choose or prioritize those things, or maybe someone else in the dynamic did, that's when things really shifted. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's where things get tricky. Once the family breakdown occurs, you're kind of left in a vacuum of sorts. Those old habits and behaviors that you used to survive the relationship problems, or maybe to float above them, like the constant checking in, the obligatory invitations, walking on eggshells, taking one for the team, which often meant holding all the garbage, those things suddenly have nowhere to go. And this is the most dangerous point of your healing journey, because the temptation to jump back in, to smooth things over, to downplay it, to go back to normal and just try to fix it one more time to avoid the discomfort of silence, it doesn't work. I've been there, I've done that, and I have the scars to prove it. You cannot use an old map to find a new destination. If you want a life that is rooted in peace instead of family conflict, you have to stop asking, how do I fix them? Or how do I fix this? And start asking, how do I lead myself? Moving forward requires a strategy. When everything changes, I take my clients through a 4-part framework to stop the spinning. We answer 4 very important questions in a very specific order. The first thing we look at is, where am I now? This is where we take an honest look at the current reality and get rid of all the fluff. Second question is, where do I want to be? This is where we get to step back and define what you really want, where you want to go, and what you want peace to look like. Number 3 is, what's getting in the way? This is where we call out some of the common pitfalls so that you know how to avoid them. And the final question we ask is, how am I going to get there? This is one of my favorite parts. This is where we get to create a custom plan that's geared just for you to help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be. Though trauma can be big and messy and complicated, this 4-part framework takes all the mystery out of trauma recovery. It turns a messy emotional crisis into a manageable process, and you don't have to relive all the yucky stuff in order to heal it. If you're done asking what happened and you're ready to focus on what do I do now, I would love to walk through those 4 questions with you. We do that in my program that is aptly called Now What? It's a 6-week roadmap to clarity, and our group sessions open this week. This is the foundation of everything that I teach. It's a 6-week live experience where we take that 4-part framework and build a personal map just for you to get to where you want to be. If you want to join us, click the link down below in the description to find out how. You do not have to navigate this transition alone. Even though you've probably done everything else in your life alone, you don't have to do this alone. It's time to stop what doesn't work and start being the architect of your own life and your own peace. I'll see you in class.